just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show it.
Good afternoon and welcome to Rubbin Minds. It's a beautiful Sunday for many reasons. Happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday to everyone who's celebrating. And during the course of this week, we'll also be celebrating World Book Day. And we're really excited about the amazing guests we have for you on the show. My name is Isabella Adediji. Our first guest is someone you can describe as a storyteller. He's published several books, but what's really interesting about him is the fact that at the height of his career, he walked away from it. In 2016, Chude Jidonwo turned his back to his career and he dealt with clinical depression. Now, he turned what would have literally sent him to the grave into a healing path, not just for himself, but for others. And he reflected on this in his book, How Depression Saved My Life. And he's gone on to live a life bringing joy to others, even as he creates platforms to tell their stories. With Chude has hosted so many of the biggest personalities where they feel comfortable enough to share their deepest secrets and find healing through that. And in his book, he goes through what he went through dealing with depression. Now, he has something coming up which we can't wait to find out about. It has the biggest names. It's the first ever talk concert in Africa, the biggest ever. And you have the likes of Pastor Jerry Eze, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and so many more. I can't wait to get into this conversation. Chude is no stranger to Rubbin Minds. Chude, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Looking lovely, as always.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sure being here brings back memories.
Oh, a lot, actually. I was just thinking about that. I'm thinking, please don't be clear, because there's a lot of memories. I love Challenge. Challenge has been so good to myself. Challenge has been so good to Adebola, John Momo. I actually just literally posted on my social media this morning that the chairman of Channels, Mr. John Momo, literally changed our lives. 15 years. Rubbin Minds is above 15 years now. 3 young people untested, not particularly trusted, and he gave us a TV show here. And that show has been on. And it's given us so many others. It's given us Church Culture, done live broadcasts with us. My show with Chude is on Channels TV. So Channels always gives me good memories.
Oh, glad to have you back here. I feel like many, many years ago, 15 years ago, the tables were turned, right?
Yes. I was sitting on the hook.
Yes. Yeah. So I just want to go straight into your career, because it's, for many who have observed you from afar, they just think like you've had it all. As a young person working with Fumi Yonda, coming to Channels, have your TV show, the Future Awards, Why Niger. You've published several books, and I can go on and on. You've won awards, you've traveled the world, and all of a sudden, someone will almost say that, are you not a bit ungrateful? How do you have everything and then somehow slide into depression? It's almost like clinical depression is just for people who don't have means, people who haven't achieved, people who are poor, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah. Well, yes. So, we're talking about Rubbin Minds is getting a sneak peek into the book because it's World Book Day, even though the book is out in September, actually. But we just released the cover 2 weeks ago. And I've spoken about it, a bit of that experience, exclusively on Rubbin Minds, actually, with Ibuka a few years ago. And I mean, sometimes, there's a lot of things that research reveals that if you just observed your environment, you will know what the research had to reveal. And so by that, I mean, around us, we know people who are not wealthy, who are living below the poverty line, but they're not depressed. They're not even, because there's a difference between being depressed, which is not clinical, being unhappy, and being clinically depressed, which means you can't do your normal function. And all of us know a lot of people who are either below the poverty line or don't have a lot of resources, who are not depressed and who are not clinically depressed. So the fact should have already been apparent to us that life situation doesn't necessarily lead to depression, that a negative life situation doesn't necessarily lead to depression. What leads to depression is if your mind does not have the capacity to handle the life situation. So some people can be in prison with no hope of recovery. and their lives, and they're still joyful. You know, they are organizing in prison, they are sewing, they are building. So what happened was in 2016, I faced a life situation that I described in my book, and my mind couldn't handle it. In hindsight, it wasn't that big a problem. It was a business problem. Business problems are problems, you know. And I always say that the Christian Bible has a saying, John 16:33, in this life you will have trouble. And so I shouldn't have been surprised that I was going to have trouble, because my faith had already promised me trouble. And so what happened was I just was unprepared, and my mind couldn't handle it. So my mind collapsed. That's how you describe depression. It's like your mind has a stroke. It's like your mind caves in, you know. And it didn't matter the objective reality. And you will not be, I would say it for myself, but it's the same for many people, but I will not say it for them, that there was a lack of gratitude. There was a lack of a state of gratitude for the things that I already had, and there was a lot of focus on the things I didn't.
I think that's something that we can all relate to, because a lot of times we're just focused on the next high, the next goal, the next achievement, that we don't always pause to just smell the flowers that we've received from all that we've achieved and all God has given us. Now I want us to go way back in time to your childhood. Growing up as an only child, do you think that played a role in your career trajectory? Not having siblings and not having that extended family always coming around. Yeah. You
know, so I want to say something quickly. So I'm like, oh God, I shouldn't have done an interview, because ever since I've been a public figure, this is only the second time I've been asked about my childhood. And the first time was yesterday. So I should avoid deep presenters. Because it just made me reflect. I've never actually spent time in public thinking out loud about my childhood. But when I thought about it, I realized, yes. I mean, it's a confusing thing, because I grew up with a lot of love. My parents loved me dearly. And even tonight, I tell people that I'm very naive about wickedness in the world. And that's because I didn't experience much wickedness as a child. My parents shielded me, you know. And so I was very much loved. I didn't face any abuse. You know, unless now we're considering being flogged as abuse. But at the time, and even tonight, I didn't see it as abuse, you know. No kind of, just loving family. But at the same time, I felt an intense loneliness as a child. And that came because I am an only child. But you see, now that I'm older, that I have the emotional language for it, I realized that I only felt lonely because I was comparing myself with others. And other people had big families, and I thought there was something wrong with me. And that sense of loneliness carried me through life. You know, I wrote in the book, I mean, the blurb of the book, the publisher said, look, I could be leading a team of hundreds of people, be in busy airport, be giving a speech on the biggest stages, be in loving relationships, and still feel lonely. So my childhood certainly had a big part to play in the feeling of loneliness that at some point might have metastasized into depression. There are different things that lead people to depression. There are some people who they cannot find any proximate cause. Because I did therapy, so my therapist helped me discover there was a memory, and they have to read the book to find. There was a memory that was lodged in my consciousness. Somebody had said something to me as a child. And I was 30 when I did therapy for the first time. And I had not even remembered that this thing had happened. But in the expert hands of a psychologist, I uncovered the roots of this thing. So in my own case, when something else happened in 2016, it just triggered the dormant feeling of loneliness, and we're up into full-blown depression, yes.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's really insightful being able to go back and trace it. I know viewers who are watching it, sometimes they just know something is just not okay, and certain things just trigger it, and before you know it, it's full-blown. And the honesty that we're already getting glimpses of it now, I can't wait to dive into the book, because I believe it will give people permission to just own the different traumas, own the different situations, and seek help. Now, in terms of seeking help, you mentioned therapy. A lot of times people just say, be strong, pray to God about it. Clearly, you're a believer, you're of the Christian faith. How did that work for you, seeking physical help with a therapist and balancing your Christian faith where you're told to be strong, have faith, and pray it away?
Yeah. So that's very interesting. As somebody who has studied the Bible academically as well, it's just interesting because faith is not an inoculant against depression. I don't know if there's a word as inoculant. Just like faith is not an inoculation against sickness. It's just not. There were people in the Bible who were believers who were ill. You know, a person will come and say, Lord Jesus, I believed that you can make my child whole. That means the person was already a believer, yet the child was ill. In fact, pastors were ill. You know, and I always say the Bible is full of those who meet every diagnostic, and there's a research done about this, about depression. You know, Elijah was so depressed that he asked for God to kill him. Moses was so depressed that he didn't want to engage the children of Israel. He couldn't do his job anymore, you know, which in modern times is what we now call clinical depression. You know, the Psalms are full of desperate cries. You know, Mother Teresa, you know, I don't know if she was clinically approved, but in her Cry Calcutta, I think there was a Calcutta book, she talked extensively about feeling depressed, feeling like God had abandoned her. So there's depression in the Bible. So God doesn't promise us in the Bible, in the Christian faith, that we will not have trouble. God promises us that he will be with us in the fire. So that, I think, should make it easy for Christians to seek help. There's nothing wrong with your faith. It's the nature of a fallen world for us to have trouble. And so what you do when you have trouble is God comforts you, but you also need to follow the procedure in the earth that God puts you in. So if you are ill, and there are miracles, sometimes there's spontaneous miracles, spontaneous remissions, all of that. But if you're not lucky to have that, then you go seek help. You go to the hospital. That is also a miracle. It's the miracle of modern medicine. You go see a therapist. It's the miracle of modern mental health, you know, practice. So I never struggled to reconcile being a human being in the world who needs to seek help and being a spiritual being who believes in God. There is no conflict. And for many pastors, there are people who say, when you say someone should do insurance, be like, oh, I trust God, but your church is insured.
True.
So there's no conflict at all between the Christian faith, and there are a number of faiths I've studied, the Christian faith, the Muslim faith, the Buddhist faith, several traditions under the Ifa mythology, all of that. There's no contradiction with seeking help in the physical world when you have trouble and believing that there's a God that can step in if he so chooses.
Now, how depression saved my life almost sounds like an oxymoron, because when you think depression, you're probably thinking death, you're probably thinking the end. You hear more stories of people who end it all because of depression. So in finding your healing, you've turned your platform for other people to find joy. Why is it so important to you, whether it's through with Chude, where people sit down and share their biggest issues, experiences, or like this planned biggest talk concert in Africa?
You know, honestly, I don't know where it comes from, because even before I went through this experience, I've always wanted my life to inspire people, you know, to empower themselves, you know. And there's just always been a desire for my life story, which is why I started talking about, you know, being depressed. You know, I just thought, I'm sure there are other people. So I talked about even dealing with Tourette's syndrome, things that cause people shame. I've never understood shame, you know, for something that you didn't do wrong. You know, if you do something wrong, you should feel guilt. You should do better. But if you didn't do anything wrong, why should you feel shame? So I was depressed. Why is that a thing of shame? And then I realized that it is a thing of shame in Nigeria. And so I realized, okay, maybe I can do my little part to make it easier for people to find healing. So that has always been something that I've always had as part of myself. But I think in this case, it made sense, because when I now came out of this experience and I learned so much about happiness, just normal happiness. I'm not even talking about being cured from depression, you know, but just being and living a happy life where you don't even have to get to the stage of thinking that, of not feeling no joy, when I discovered, and many of these tools are free, self and meditation, music, prayer, walking in nature, I just wanted to share it with the world. Yeah. And then ultimately, a lot of events happened. And I decided that the TV show, because my primary skill, the very first job I ever had was as a TV presenter. And so I thought, actually, I can do this without preaching to people. I can help people tell others their life stories in a way that teaches others how to live more joyful life.
And
that's what led to it.
Concert. I think that has been everywhere. We've seen the billboards. It's all over social media. Yes. And you have like big weights. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Funke Akindele, Bovi, Pastor Jerry Ezde, Vicky James. I could go on and on. Why a talk concert? Right. I mean, we love to vibe and dance. I say people should come and sit down and listen to stories. First and foremost, they're going to dance. First and foremost, it's going to be music. It's going to be an experience. What's happened is I've gone abroad. I've been in those rooms, Oprah's tours, Joe Robel's tours. These guys do events that are soulful, and you still live there feeling entertained, feeling refreshed. So that's why I'm doing this, because in our culture, we think is different. You can only dance. You can't be meaningful. All of those things. And so I've been blessed out of Nigeria by those kinds of events. And many Nigerians leave Nigeria to go abroad to be blessed by those events. I thought, but we deserve that here. We deserve joy here. We deserve our mental, emotional, and spiritual health to be strengthened and enabled. So that's why I'm doing this. And my show has done its part, thankfully, in making it easier for people to learn some of these things in non-didactic ways. It has inspired the movement of other podcasts where these taboo issues are discussed. And I thought, let's blow it up. Let's blow it up to the biggest. In my studio, it's me and the guests. There's no audience. You see the tears, you see the laughter, you see the joy. The guests always say it's like therapy. You see the audience commenting on other blogs, on my platform, on YouTube, saying, I was going to take my own life, and then I watched this interview and I stopped. Or I was going through this with my husband or my wife. Now I want it to be live. I want people to feel those goosebumps live. I want people to feel that energy, that inspiration, that sense that I am not alone. It's one thing to hear Chimamanda talk about, all the things she's talked about, about having kids, about all of this, about writing her book, about how she couldn't write for 10 years, about the grief of losing her mother and her father in quick succession and having to walk through it and feeling emotions she had never thought she could feel. It's one thing to hear that from afar. It's another thing to be in the room, unrehearsed, unplanned, unrecorded, and hear her talk about it. I can see the flyer on the screen. Yeah. We have Funke Akindele, like you said, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Pastor Jerry. That's a blessing. Bovi Ugboma. I know there's a panel session. The bad guy as one of those on the main stage. The panel session, Vicky James. Ebuka, who is the host of Rubbin Mind. Tawoma, Kiki, Hawa Lawal, and somebody I'm missing, Moses Bliss, who people have never seen an interview of, as far as I know. And then we have two more special guests we're announcing this week. Are you telling us
No.
This is home for you. This is Rubbin Mind. You just said all the lovely things.
Yes. We've said some things here, but we have to build anticipation so that we can use it to drive more subscription.
How can people buy tickets?
Thank you.
How can they be a part of this physically, virtually, and join the movement beyond this concert?
So go to event.withchude.com. event.withchude.com. That's event.withchude.com. Or you can go to my handle. That's all I'm talking about, at Chude on Instagram. It's happening next Sunday, 27th of April at the Palms in Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. There is a huge event center people don't know. I'm so excited with the magic we are changing that venue into. 27th of April, 2 p.m. People can get the tickets and be part of this movement. The things, we just finished a production meeting yesterday. The things that we are planning, when you leave that event, you feel like your soul just had a bath. You feel a sense of, I belong in this world, I can enjoy this life, and there is joy in my heart. And I'm so excited that I'm coming alive to be when this kind of event is happening in Nigeria, and even more, that I can be the vessel that is used to bring forward this event.
And on that note, we just wish you all the best.
Thank
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Amazing work. Keep it up.
Thank you. And well done on all your work. You're incredible, but you know that already.
Thank you very much, Chude. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll now go on a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Now, still in the spirit of World Book Day, we have another author joining us for what promises to be a very enlightening and engaging segment. So many times we see people who have amassed wealth come out to do aspire, to perspire, to respire and expire. Somehow you can't really find out the true path to their wealth, and it's all smokes and screens. But our next author has lived the journey. Imagine growing up in a family of 7 children, a father and a mother, all living in one bedroom, sharing one toilet, one kitchen with 12 other families. Now, if you're familiar with Nigerian architecture, you know, face me, I face you. His mother is a plantain seller, and that's what she did at the time of his growing up, and ensured that 6 of them all hawked plantain. But here he is today. He has accomplished so much. He has created wealth for himself. He's sharing it in a very down-to-earth, conversational manner, showing you the steps you need to fast-track your journey to wealth creation. It's truly a privilege and an honor to have Owolabi Ramon, the author of Fast Track to Wealth, on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on Rubbin Minds. I was just reading and I was really inspired, because a lot of times people blame where they are in life for the fact they were not born with a silver spoon, and they kind of hide those things. They are ashamed of it, but you have taken your story and made it available for others to engage with. What made you decide that, you know what, I'm not ashamed of my humble beginnings, and I'm not selfish to not let people know what made me where I am today? When was that moment you decided, I'm going to tell it all in a book?
Thank you very much. Actually, naturally, I'm a giver. I share. Any idea that comes to me, I'm always everywhere sharing them. I don't hoard things, money, anything, I don't hoard them. I share a lot. So it is just natural for me to want to share this idea of how I was able to grow the business. And one of the major reasons why I particularly wrote about this is because, you see, like you said, many people believe that because they were born from a particular background, or because their parents were in a way that they could not be so proud of, they always seem to think that they're already defeated. And the ones that seem not to be defeated in their minds are looking for crooked ways of making it out of the predicament they find themselves. So I felt, okay, fine. If I could do this, I think it is good for me to share the story of my journey with people and inspire them. And thankfully, from the book, I have a lot of testimonies of people coming to me to say, from your book, we could see that there is a future for us, even though before then, we felt that there was nothing for us. So that is actually the idea behind the book, to inspire people, to make them see that from nothing, you can actually build something.
So I want you to cast your mind back to maybe you're 7 or you're 10 or 13, and there you are with your portion of plantain to hawk on the streets. At that point, did you believe that indeed there was a future for you, a future where you weren't struggling and striving, a future of comfort, of wealth?
Well, I was not sure if I was going to make it, but I was very sure I was going to try. I made up my mind that until I die, I'll keep on trying. So that was, at that time, that was where I was. And I was not going to take a no for an answer. Even my mom, I told my mom at the point, I just say, you cannot stop me. Sometimes when I do something and they felt like, my family felt like this was not the usual thing. For example, they would say, pork. And at the point when I was maybe 14, 15, I said, nothing would touch my head again. So one of my sisters was angry and said, you are a bad child. Why can't you help our mom? And I told her something. I said, very soon, we are going to separate the chaff from the wheat. I didn't know what I was saying. I was just talking based on the fact that I felt in this life, I was not going to do anything illegal. I was not going to dupe or do anything bad. But I was very certain I was going to give it all that I had to become somebody. And thankfully, with God on my side, I'm not there yet, but I'm far away from where I was.
And in reaching for your dreams, did you ever face any obstacles as a result of lack of money? For example, pursuing your education, for example, the opportunities that come from being in certain social circles?
A lot of disadvantages. I mean, when I get my admission into the University of Ilorin, my first degree, I already saved some money. I was teaching after my secondary school education, saving some money that immediately I get my admission, I was going to just use part of the money. So when I gained my admission, I saw my name came out. The first thing I did was to go to the school to accept that admission with my own money. When I came back, my dad said, "You have wasted your money. How are you going to be able to go to school with the money?" I just, for the first time, worked that on him, went out, tried to do the stuff. I mean, friends, family. I was able to go. So immediately I entered the school. My first challenge was how to keep up. Upkeep, textbooks, handbooks here and there. So then in school, I wish I gave you a picture. You will have shown that picture. My head was bigger than my body. my head was bigger than the whole of my body. Because I used to eat. I don't used to eat in the morning or afternoon. I used to eat only at night.
So that was not one.
It's 001. That was what we used to call it, 001. And the reason why I used to eat at night was because I felt, they say that if you eat late at night, you'll be adding weight. So I wanted to cheat nature by saying that, okay, fine, I will not eat in the afternoon or in the morning. I will eat at night so that I can be adding weight. But I was lying. I was deceiving myself. So, I mean, what my mates used to do in school, sometimes I don't used to do. As a matter of fact, my final year, when I was going from 300 level to 400 level, I was scared of how I was going to cope. Then a lady just came to me. That lady, I was a year a senior, and she said, "You know what? Go and pay your school fees." I said, "What? Did I ask you for this?" He said, "I look at you and I'm inspired." That was what she said. And she said, "A day is coming that I will need times 10 of what I'm giving to you, and you'll be able to give to me because I believe that you are going somewhere." So that was I was able to pay the school fees. So from there, the thing, I was just taking it a step at a time. In school, I did a lot of things to survive. I was teaching my mates tutorials, 20 naira tutorials. Then people that were doing, they used to call them remedial students in University of Ilorin. They were like diploma students. I used to teach them. Then I wrote pamphlets, Success Digest. I had to sell it 20 naira just to make. So I was doing all those things and still struggling with my education. But when I was in year 3, there was a course we did, pharmacology. That course ran from the first semester to the second semester. It did not allow me to have my weekend to myself that I used to go around to make money. So that was the most challenging period of my time at the University of Ilorin. But thankfully, I was able to survive, and I still graduated with a very good degree. So,
wow,
yes.
Definitely inspiring, making the most of it's a classic case of when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade.
Exactly.
And what has been like the biggest lesson that you have taken from these experiences and it has helped you to create wealth and be where you are today?
Well, one of the my biggest lesson is that anything is possible. The one thing that makes people actually live a life of defeat most of the time is that even before they make attempt, they already think that they have failed. And some people already accepted, even growing up, even among the people I grew up with, they call something destiny. They believe that once you are destined to be successful, you'll be successful. Once you are destined to fail, you will fail. So the moment they find themselves in the company of failures, they subconsciously accept that that is their destiny. So they begin to envy those that are successful, and begin to feel like they are just fortunate. So they are destined to be successful by God. The people that are poor are destined to be poor by God. So they are like, they envy them, and then God cannot be questioned. So instead of them to now make effort or make some attempt, this thought has already paralyzed all their effort, their thinking, their way of doing things, to think this is our destiny and we have to accept it.
So do you think those children in the compound that you grew up with from the 12 families, that they also felt like, because we're born into Face Me, I Face You, my destiny is Face Me, I Face You, or like you, were they able to see a bigger path to say, look, the person who is living in a duplex doesn't have 2 heads, doesn't have 4 ears, doesn't have 2 mouths?
People like me are called the rebels. Because you are supposed to accept what you are. I mean, let me give you another instance. You know, I didn't write that in the book. I don't know if I wrote it. We are 7. And every night, you don't go and ask my parents, what are you going to eat? It's eba. You know, we are Yoruba, so it's eba. And that eba, they will now put one big fish in the plate. That's one big fish, what the 7 of us will share. Now, this is where the gist get interesting. The first child is the one that will share the fish. And he will still be the first person to take his portion. Of course, we are all human beings, so he will divide the fish into almost half.
And take water.
Then the remaining half, share it. So now the second child will pick, the third child will pick. By the time it got to me, the 6th child, it's remnant. So I would just angrily add my own to my younger brother's own. Eat it. I will go out. There's one woman that used to stay in front of our house and say, Yasla, give me big fish. Because there was this mentality in me that said, I was more than this. So then they used to, people that did not understand me, then they used to think like, what kind of person is this?
Like,
why are you a rebel? It's not what your parents have, they will give to you. Sometimes I will tell them, I don't want to eat it, but you people are eating. I'll go out, sort myself.
Wow.
So it's just in my, so people like me then were not common, even up to now. And that is where this book is very, very important, because most people are in that situation. They have been brought up to be like that. Even as adults, they have that thing limiting them. They believe the upbringing, the environment they are brought up in. So, but for me, even though I had all those things around me, to be sincere, I don't know what gave me the mind, to have that. I just knew that I was not comfortable with this, and I can never be comfortable with this.
So that rebellious spirit is what has actually helped you to create wealth. And still in the spirit of the upcoming World Book Day, why should anyone pick up this book and read? What's different about this book, and what can they expect? Okay,
now about the book. Not nowadays anybody can write a book. Just tell AI to write a book for you in 15 minutes, and AI will write a book for you. So, and most of those books, when you read them, they are theoretical. You don't even know, like you said earlier, many people write a book about 7 ways to success, 20 ways to do this. And then you read those books and you are like, how can I put this to practice? So in this, my own book, I didn't even write any story. I did not do aspire to perspire, like you said. I just shared my story, period. I started from where you read it from, and the step by step of how I was able to do it. But the only thing about this is that my way of doing things, like again, like the way it started from when I was young, is not the same like every other person is doing their thing. The way, now when I'm talking to some people in my business now, they will tell me like, I can't do what you are doing, they're going to run a loss. But I'm not running a loss. Because
so what's so good about the book, for in your words, is that you're sharing stories. You're not being theoretical, you're not giving us principles, but you're laying it out, and for people to then draw their own inspiration. And
then you take what I've done, then you look how to build on it or replicate it, and then get success yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing from your personal experience and documenting it in a book. Once again, Owolabi Ramon, author of Fast Track to Wealth. It was a pleasure having you on Rubbin Minds.
Thank you very much.
We're going on a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Don't just stand there teasing me.
Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Our next guest is no stranger to the screen, to the airwaves. He has entertained us with back-to-back hits. He has definitely contributed his own quota to pop music, to Afrobeats, and we can't wait to hear from him. He's been a bit quiet in the past couple of months, years, and he's been cooking, so we'll be catching up with everything Mayokun. Mayokun, welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
It's been a minute, like we say.
Yeah.
So, in navigating the music industry, and you've been doing that for several years now, is there anything that took you by surprise that you weren't expecting? that you've then gone through now?
I wouldn't say I wasn't expecting it because I think it's very normal in every industry to evolve and all those stuff. But yeah, I don't think I was shocked. I expected it, but yeah, it took me by a little bit. But yeah. It's
Okay,
cool.
so that evolution, is it
just-
more about how music is created or distributed, or how someone can be reigning today, tomorrow another person
Oh,
comes?
I think it's more of nothing with the creation. I think we still create music the same way we do, but I think the way you market, the way you distribute, the way you just put it out has been different. I mean, it has been like that over the years, even people that started doing music before us too. So yeah.
So before you didn't have to have a challenge, now you have to have a
I
challenge.
mean, if that's your route, if you are the dancing type, yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, it's like it's being generalized now.
And do you think that affects the way musicians create music because they're trying to get a certain kind of appeal that works, not necessarily on the airwaves, but
Yeah.
social media because
Yeah.
they want it viral?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that's the way to go, but I know that people do that now. Like, before making the music, they already have, like, this template of how they want to push it on TikTok, or whereas it's opposed to the way we used to do it, where we just make music. Anyhow it goes, it goes. But I think some people do, but I don't do that, though.
So when you're making music, what's driving you? Is it the expectation of the record label? Is it something innate? Is it feedback from your fans? Or what inspires your sound and your music?
I'm the type of person that's, even if I'm singing or I'm singing about something on serious, I still sing from the soul. So it's not like, oh, I'm doing this to please the TikTokers or to please. I make music that I love. And over time, every time I do stuff like that, it resonates with my listeners.
And how do you find inspiration? Is it more from your lived experiences, what you watch, where you travel to?
Yeah.
Where does the music come from? Because you just said, even if I'm singing something on serious,
Yeah, yeah.
does it come from on seriousness?
Yeah, like, first of all, I think about my personal experiences, and I have so many unserious experiences too.
Care to share?
As I do. No, I mean, like, I have, like, sometimes I sing about my friends, I sing about a girl, like, that's not really serious. But my last record I released was about people leaving the country. And that's not
Jackpot.
so unserious, Johnson. So yeah, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, just.
And have you ever thought of that?
Oh,
leaving?
Jack buying?
Yes. Like,
Nah,
go and
nah.
make it big in America, make it big
Nah.
the UK.
Maybe pushing my music though, yeah, I'm doing that. But I mean, like, as a citizen of the country, like moving to another place, I don't think so. Because I grew up in a place where that's like everybody's goal. That used to be their goal. I think it still is, to just leave the country and go and make it big somewhere else. But I never did. It never enticed me for once.
And there are some notable musicians who have
Yeah.
turned their back on music and have gone to start careers in other sectors,
yeah.
in the States, in the UK. So what's holding you back in Nigeria?
I mean, man, and this is very personal. It's just me. I don't think I can live anywhere else. And I've tried it. I've not like tried to live there, but I've been in places that is not Nigeria, and I'm there for like a month. In fact, about the second week, I'm trying to go back to my country. And I think this is the only place we can actually make it work. Not from.
And when you say make it work, what role does music play into that? Do you see your work as a musician as something that should drive that change, that should make the country better?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, some musicians are full-time activists. Like, what they make, what the type of music they make is just about social happenings and everything. But for me, like I said, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like my song, Jackpot, I actually had the conversation with one of my friends that's outside the entertainment industry. That gave me that vision as well. Bro, like, a chunk of, like, a percentage of the population are actually running out of the country. Professionals are going. So I think sometimes, as a musician, you should reflect some of the things happening around you. Yeah.
And there are lots of challenges.
So many.
What are some of the challenges you have faced in your music here
in Nigeria, Africa.
Staying relevant, staying top of mind.
Yeah. I think that's like the most. I don't think it's even that hard to be a blown artist, but the consistency just meant, and sometimes you might lose it because trying to stay relevant sometimes you think you have to do some things that are not even
like
morally right, or like just making I don't want to say making a fool of yourself or something, but I don't think it's that. I think just make your music, and if it goes still.
So now the music industry can get really, the things can get really heated up. You see times when a musician leaves a label and is beef all the way. You have left DMW, but you seem to still have a great relationship with your former label boss and label mates. Why?
I mean, like, it wasn't anything. I feel like people like to feed in that narrative because it's like, it sells. Like, once it's like, oh, the story of this boy leaving his boss, then everything went downhill. Like, it's like, what sells? But I don't think I have that issue, because like 2 weeks ago, I was still with David. Like, I spent a whole day with him. That's I just really don't come online and tell you, oh, this guy is my best friend. Like, but we are very cool, even with everybody else.
But do you feel like leaving a label as big as DMW, do you think that kind of exit does affect your career? I mean, you've been quiet for a while. So could that be the reason why?
For me, like I said, this narrative is that's what people understand. Like, if I come here and tell you how that has nothing to do with what I'm going through or what's happening with me, you might not buy that. But that's not it. Like, with the label DMW, before you leave, it's like they've already like prepped you up with the things you need as an independent artist, and we got that.
So it was almost like they gave their blessing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's not just public.
And are there times that you miss the structure that comes with a label like that? Or
there's no even missing, because how do I explain it? It's just online. We go to the same place. We probably live in the routine hasn't changed. It's just the fact that, oh, this boy is no longer in DMW. And the same goes to other artists that have left. We still link, we still make music the same way. We still do the same things we still do when we were, so yeah.
So do you think, like, right now, like, what's that thing that's holding you back, that you haven't put out music? Like, you're saying it is not because I left DMW. You're saying it's not, this is what the media wants. So what is the thing? Like,
that is making me
like that you've been quiet. Is there a challenge? Like, what's going on?
Honestly, like I said about the evolution of music, I think the standard has gone up. So for me, putting out music like that, it has gone. I'm personally scrutinizing my music. Like, I don't just want to do regular music. I just put out music just because, I need people to listen to. Like, my album dropping on the 2nd of May, it took me a long time. Like, I have bare songs on my laptop. I just had to go down and rewrite songs, pick, and these things take time, like clearance and all those stuff. But now I'm ready. I submitted the album and good to go. And
do you feel like in those quiet years, things do get hard? Because this is a business. So you put out music, you're streaming, you're earning money. You don't put out music, how are you staying afloat?
I think that's another thing I should correct. If you don't see an artist, like, maybe post on social media or like is up and about, it's not like they are sleeping in their houses. Because I was still on tour. Like, last year, I was in Europe. I think 2 years before that, I was in London. Yeah, I was in London. So I've been doing stuff like regular artists. It's just that I don't come online to post them. Because I feel like, well, there are big artists to be done than just doing this.
So you have a new album coming out.
Yep.
The expectations are going to be high. Do you think it can crack the market? You just said it now that the level has gone up high. So what are you bringing that's going to take you right back there?
Pure music, like I said again. Like, I don't know how to make music just so you guys can talk about it for today. like it's rich music.
Is it particular collaborations?
Yeah, there are better collaborations that I just don't want to spill now. Just that. But yeah, I'm going to drop like the track list in about a week, so everybody will know or have an idea of what's coming on.
The industry is very, very competitive.
Yep.
So even choosing to release it when you're releasing it, the way you're going about, like, this is an opportunity for you to tell us more, and you're being very secretive.
Well,
Do you have something that we don't know about?
Like, okay, let me spill a little bit. Like, I have about 7 collaborations on the project. I experimented on different sounds, like sounds that you would not even expect me
like
to make.
Fuji Akpala or what?
Yeah,
or dance
Fuji, like
or
R&B.
Amapiano. Okay,
R&B, like
R&B.
I mean like proper R&B.
So is this an R&B album?
No,
and do you want to be known as an R&B artist?
Nah, I want to be known as a musician though.
Okay.
I make every type of music. Fuji, like you said, Akpala. There's a little bit of juju on it though.
Okay.
There's a little bit of juju. Speaking of Fuji, yeah, juju, R&B, club bangers. That one is just certified.
And you're saying you have 7 collaborations. Surely you should be able to tell us at least 3.
I tell you one.
Only one.
You
Okay.
said 3.
Yes, out of 7. Who are the people that are on this album?
I mean, everybody knows I have a song with Fireboy. There's a song with Loj on the project too. And there's one other collaboration I don't want to talk about for the elements of surprises. But yeah, it'll be out soon.
So, come December period, sometimes we're looking for artists. You mentioned that you're going to Europe to tour, you're going to different countries. But when it comes to giving back to
Lagos,
the people who made you,
Yeah.
they say, they can't. The show promoters say they can't afford to pay. Do you agree that Nigerian artists are now becoming too expensive to have shows here in Nigeria?
Honestly, I don't even think it's Nigerian artists thing. It's just the economy. It's just not just artists. Like, products are just expensive by this time, judging by the economy and all that. So
But if you're making lots of money going around the world, you're earning in foreign currency, you're making money from streams, surely there's a part of you that could say, look, for my own people, I'm going to give back, even if I have to do it at a subsidized rate.
yeah, people do it. I'm even planning on doing a free show in December for Lagos. I'm just saying, like, I'm speaking for people that don't do like free shows. It's not like, they are being outrageous. It's just that things have become expensive. There's no other way to put it.
So do you think more Nigerian artists should do free shows, or it's okay that they're too expensive?
Yeah, if they can afford it, it's not like nobody's imposing that on you, but if you can afford it, I think you should. It's not like it's just once.
And speaking of streams and money making, you know, they say the streams that you get from Nigeria don't make you as much money as Europe and America. So is your goal now to hit it big in Europe and America, and you don't really care so much? Like, if you've not gotten the stream, if you get streams in Nigeria, I don't feel like you have arrived.
Nah, I think first of all, everybody wants to grow. It's just human nature to want more. But living your source is really scary. I don't think it's something, aside money, I think I still want to feed my African, Nigerian core fans first before.
So even if you're not making as much, it's
like I said, it has nothing to do with money. It's just about where your origin is. You can't live here and just go there. Once you dry up there, there's no get. So yeah.
So should artists feed their source? Or
of course, yeah, that's what I meant by yes, regardless, and that's what they are doing. Regardless, whatever you've heard on, like, people are still feeding Nigerian like palettes for music.
Okay. Is there any possibility that you would return back to DMW or go to another label?
Return to DMW.
Yeah, I mean, you're hanging out with David for the whole day.
Yeah. I mean, like, we'll make music for sure. In fact, we have like we can put out an album. That's how much music we have. It just takes whoever is doing the talks to make it. But an album is possible. I don't know about returning to the label, because I don't even think the label wants that.
Or another label.
I mean, yeah. Of course, I'm starting.
Do you have your hopes on joining an already established label? Like
maybe for
movies?
distribution and all that, yeah. But
Which one?
I'm anyone. I don't.
Okay.
As long as their goals and aspirations align with mine.
So very quickly, the album drops on what day?
On the 2nd of May.
And there are many tracks?
Yeah, 12 tracks.
12 tracks, 7 collaborations.
Yep.
And we can expect different sounds.
Different sounds, yeah.
We wish you all the best, Miracle.
Thank you very much.
And that's where we'll be closing this episode of Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. Do have a great Easter celebration. All the best.
I get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me.